Okay, welcome to this week's coaching chat, and our topic's going to be on verbiage. Again, we can't get enough of this. I think the better we are with our verbiage, the better results we're going to see. And verbiage only gets better as we practice it. So I'm going to practice some verbiage on you guys and use this feel, felt, found framework. And then I'm going to ask some of you to go ahead, give a scenario, and walk through the feel, felt, found process. You know, we've already had, as I always say, systems or frameworks are a dime a dozen. But if we want to be successful, we have to learn to use them. So a couple weeks ago, we walked through what the framework of form, which was, you know, how to get into a conversation with someone, and whether it be through talking about their family, their occupation, money or mission. And R was recreation, and then the M was money or mission. And that kind of gave us a framework to be able to open up a conversation, get to know someone, and then move it into a Juice Plus conversation. Today, we're going to use another system. Either one of these systems works. And I love that they both are kind of starting with the F. So it kind of triggers our mind that to remember. So today, another type of framework is called feel, felt, found. And what we're trying to do is, one, get in the mud puddle with someone. I feel what you're feeling, and I understand. And I think when people know and acknowledge that we're connecting with them and that we feel like they do, what it does, it just brings validation. It brings, anytime someone agrees with me that I'm right or feeling like I'm feeling, does it not make you feel good? And you think highly of that person, you connect with that person. And what that feel column there is doing is really locking arms with someone and getting on the same page. Then moving into the felt, you know, I felt like you did. You know, I feel your pain, and I felt like you did, and experienced what you're experiencing. And then it naturally opens up the door for us to share what we found. But if we just jump in with, let me tell you about Juice Plus, they're not interested. They're not ready. We've not primed that conversation or that relationship. So using the feel, felt, and then the found is key in moving someone along in just that conversation process. So I typed out, okay, if you haven't muted yourself, if you would for now, and then we'll open it up in a few minutes. Okay, so, okay, I am going to mute somebody here. Okay, I think someone did mute. Okay, so I'm going to walk through. So if I'm talking to someone and they're talking about their kids getting sick all the time, so how would I respond? That's something that, you know, we as Juice Plus reps want to have our antennas up all the time to be able to connect with people and then get into great conversations about Juice Plus and develop relationships. And so if I'm hearing someone talk about their kid being sick, or I'm seeing it on Facebook, I will instantly kind of be thinking about, okay, how do I get into this conversation? And I would start by saying, I totally understand how frustrating it is when our kids are getting sick all the time. I experienced that same thing when my girls were 1 and 3 and getting sick every 3 or 4 weeks, that something went around the preschool. It literally was, you know, it went from a virus to a cold to the flu. So that would be kind of how I jump into that conversation and I feel what they're feeling, because it is a hassle. If you've had kids and before they got on Juice Plus, mine were getting sick. Then I would let that person respond and continue talking about that feel and sitting in the mud puddle with them so that they truly know you do know what they're feeling and experiencing. Then moving them into that felt. I felt helpless. This is how I felt. See, what you're wanting to do in this conversation is to get them talking. If you can get people talking and asking questions and have a back and forth conversation, you're going to be more likely to move that on into a Juice Plus conversation. So I felt helpless trying to keep them from getting sick. I thought I was feeding them healthy. I was even juicing and trying to get them to drink juice because that's how desperate I was and how badly I wanted to keep them healthy and well. Then I would let them, what have you been trying? End it with a question back to them because you want them to continue this dialogue. What have you tried? Have you guys tried juicing? I mean, that was a real challenge for us to get those green juices in a 1-year-old and 3-year-old. So you're asking, drawing information. And then as that exchange goes on, then get into what I found when I learned about Juice Plus. I thought I'd hit the jackpot because it was a simple solution for a challenging problem. So if I kind of end it like that, then most of the time people are going to come back, really, what is Juice Plus? Have you heard about Juice Plus? Maybe I would say that question. Think about a question that you're going to get them to respond back. Questions are key if we want to move people forward in the conversation. Love my husband saying, he who asks the questions guides the conversation. So if we want to guide the conversation, always end whatever statement you're making, end it with a question. So that would be how I would take someone who I'm talking to about the Juice Plus product, bring them through that feel, felt, found framework. How about if I'm wanting to talk to someone about the Juice Plus becoming a partner with our company? So back kind of to the same scenario, same point in time in life. I know exactly how you feel. Once I had 2 little children, working full-time became such a challenge. That's why I began to look for another way to generate an income stream. Have you ever thought about creating a side hustle? Add that question. So then hear what they have to say. Ask questions. If they have, don't be afraid to ask questions about what they've taken a look at. And don't poo-poo, oh yeah, that doesn't work. We want to engage with them and ask those questions. So then to move on to that felt category, I wanted a way. So I want to tell them how I felt. I wanted a way to generate an income stream that I could control when, where, and how I worked. I wanted to be able to work around my family schedule and not the other way around. Is that kind of your reasoning for wanting to generate an income stream? So you turn it back around to a question because you want them to continue in that conversation. And then lastly, found. We started taking Juice Plus and began to experience the health benefits. I immediately began sharing it with my friends, and I knew I'd found my new passion. And so have you been able to find something that met that need for you, whatever their need is, if they're that same need? And what we want to do is kind of dig and find out their need and see if we can align, if our story can align with whatever their pain was or their need was. So we're looking for a need, and we're only going to get that find out what that need is if we're asking questions. So feel, felt, found. So I've just taken you through kind of my verbiage. And here's what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing and let me hear from you guys who've used the feel, felt, found framework. Or maybe you haven't. Even if you haven't, give it a shot. Someone who's talked to someone lately and they've discovered a need and want to walk that feel, felt, found. Okay, I see Yvette's got her hand up. Let's hear it, Yvette.
On Friday, I saw on my timeline how, I'm sick again. I'm sick of being sick. So I actually have her phone number. So I text messaged her and I said, girl, I am tired of you being sick. And I said, how about a 3-way call? Precious and I did a 3-way call, and we got a trio paid in full out of the deal.
Nice. And I love how you used the 3-way call to seal the deal. Perfect. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Who else? Who else has a success story or have used that feel, felt, found process?
I use it all the time. But last night, a customer popped in and said, "Hey, I just saw my order was about to ship. I've only been doing half, so let's elongate it 4 more months." And I'm like, "Oh my, hey, Julie, it's so good for you for getting back to me. I was going to call you this morning. I totally get what you're feeling right now. I felt the same way too. Maybe if I halved it, I could save some money." But the research is based on taking 2 of each. So I found that when I was flooding my body with all the nutrients, my health just went a step further. Is your health, what are your health goals? So we talked a little about that, and she goes, "Okay, well, let me, this does sound important. Let me see if I can make this happen." So I use it in business and just in all along the process. When in dealing with customers, you want to come alongside them too. I know how you feel. I get it. And then empathize.
I love it. Perfect. I love that verbiage, Becky. And great. Thank you for sharing a whole nother scenario. I didn't do the customer process, so thank you for sharing that. That was perfect. Who else? Who else has used the feel, felt, found process? All right. Brenda, what? Oh, Marie. Okay, go ahead, Marie.
I had to unmute myself. I've used it a number of times. Most recently, I used it with a friend of mine, and we were talking. She's going through some struggles in her personal life, and her health is taking a toll. And I said, "Oh, I know exactly how you feel. In 2018, I had a really hard year, both health-wise and some financial challenges." I said, and this was like the answer to both. I felt like I really needed something to turn my health around and my finances. And she is now a customer, and she is trying to gather up the funds to become a team member.
Awesome. Okay, there's a whole nother scenario. So I gave you a customer and a prospect customer, prospect distributor. Becky just gave an example of using Feel, Felt, and Found with a customer, and now Marie did a double whammy, customer and distributor at the same time. Excellent. Who else will walk us through that Feel, Felt, Found process?
I will. I use that a lot with, especially when people are like, "Oh my gosh, that's so expensive." And I'll always say, "Oh my gosh, I felt that way too." We didn't even have a bill that was that much when we started on Juice Plus, but it ended up being so much money. And we look back at our health bills, and that it helped us to stay in work, and it was just tremendous. When we take this.
Excellent. I love that you guys are given these new scenarios that I wasn't even thinking of. Who else? Give us some verbiage. All right, I'm going to start calling on some people. Somebody better jump in.
Elaine, I talked while I was in the hospital last week, I talked to a lot of people about Juice Plus. It was really cool. But one of the things that came up twice was, wow, I'm sure that's a great idea, but we are on such a tight budget. And especially with the one, she was a single mom, and I'm like, I know exactly what you're saying. I really had allocated every dime, and I couldn't imagine to begin with. I mean, as desperate as I was, I really worried about how I was going to pay for it. But I decided that first of all, it's food. So I put it in my food budget. Mm. And then I decided it was also insurance because I was around a lot of 6-year-olds all the time. And so, but what I actually discovered is that actually Juice Plus has saved me money on my grocery, because first of all, I'm a lot more focused on making sure that I spend the money on, spinach and kale, and those things are really going to help. But also, it's literally alleviated so many other concerns, kind of like what Erin was saying. And as a mom, getting to have my child on for free, it was just an incredible blessing all the way around. So I've actually saved money with Juice Plus.
Love it. Love it. These give me some good ideas. So let's keep going. Who else? Give us a verbiage. Yes, Karen.
Well, I've done it. You just triggered, because I was just sitting here racking my brain. Like, I know I've used it a million times, but I can't think of any examples. But when Brenda just said that about turning her health around, of course, my talk generally revolves around health because of my story. But when people have said, well, I can't afford it, I said, well, I understand how you feel, because we were in the same boat. I said, but I'm telling you what, it's a whole lot cheaper than $7,000 a month in chemo or doctor visits, constant doctor visits. It does make a difference. So that's how I've used it that I can think of right now.
I love it. I love it. So we're getting in the mud puddle with people. Anybody else want to take a stab? Maybe if you haven't used it, think about somebody right now who you're in conversation with and walk through that feel, felt, found process. Who's willing to be a guinea pig and try it? Who hasn't been using that maybe that verbiage? Lisa.
Hey, this is, yeah, I'm driving, so I need to be really careful. But I really think that it could be helpful to use it with the families of other kids with special needs, not being able to get our kids to eat anything healthy, and especially kids with autism, and how incredibly important that is, that our kids who have special needs have really high quality, dense nutrition. So it would just be perfect if I was talking to a mom to have her explain to me how her child is not eating well. And then I could go into saying, oh, I know exactly how you felt. I felt the same way. And I discovered Juice Plus. And now my son gets 30 fruits and vegetables before he leaves for school in the morning.
I love it. I love how just sitting here and there's like 15, 16 of us on here. I love how we're getting a lot of different ways. And that's where having the frameworks work, And so if we keep building on these frameworks, verbiage frameworks, then as we're talking, the form framework will come in, the feel, felt, found, and we're going to add some more. I think next week we'll do it on objections. And so keep these frameworks top of mind so that instantly you can go into them and move somebody forward. Okay, so let me ask this question. Thinking, hopefully, does everyone have a list of people you're going to connect with this week? Yes? Okay. Someone give me a name of someone on their list and what you perceive maybe their need might be. I'm assuming we don't know what the needs are yet because they're new. And we can make an assumption, but we have to still go through that process. Someone give me here's who I'm talking to this week, and here's what I think their perceived need is. Yes. Erin.
Okay, so I'm sorry I was so late and I forgot to mute my button. So that was me talking, getting my client out of here. But I've had her forever. She's done shakes maybe 8 years ago or something. But her need is that she's been sick for 3 weeks now, and her knee is swelling up again. And, she's just having knee problems and those things. Is that all you want me to say?
Well, since I know you can do it, go ahead and take us through the feel. How are you going to take her through this feel, felt, found process?
So I said, Greta, I know we've talked about Juice Plus before, and honey, did I even use feel, felt, found? I said, I know that you feel like you can't afford this right now. That's what you've said in the past. I've felt that way too. But what I'm finding is that I think you're going to be sick a lot less. You're not going to have this knee issue. What if you wouldn't even have to go to the doctor? And really what I said is, if you just came one less massage a month, you could. So I'm like, don't pay me. She comes every week as a single mom. I'm like, $75 for a massage, or $75 for a trio and fruits and veggies for your kids, honey.
Wow.
Just one time less a month.
And you know what? That right there shows that you're not trying to make money. You're actually losing money immediately through that process. But I think what you've done is showed you cared about this person.
Yeah. And I think sometimes too, that's helped me when they kind of put it in perspective financially, just going like, hey, what if we could give up this? Or what if we could give up some coffee?
So helped her solve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody else? Wait a minute. Let's see. Okay. So I'm sorry. That was Miracle. She has to jump off. She's getting ready to do a launch for a new distributor. So that's a good excuse to jump off. All right. So we're almost up at 1. Yes, Marie.
Okay, so I was at a vendor fair, a Halloween festival this